All right, I think this is live. Okay, so hey y'all. Um welcome to the third installment in a series of 5 in where we break down some of the most common limiting beliefs that really successful entrepreneurs have. And by successful entrepreneurs, I mean high performing. You guys have high standards for yourself. You're kind of a perfectionist like I am, and you just have a really big vision for yourself and your company. And you, for all intents and purposes, are a very successful, and you expect big things for yourself. Like you expect successful actions from yourself. And unfortunately, I just come across this is kind of the reality of it, is that you have a very successful company, but when it comes to your book, maybe you feel embarrassed by how unsuccessful your book is. Maybe you feel embarrassed by how many times you've tried selling your book or tried to create a successful book, but you've not been successful. And you're wondering, like, well, how did James Clear do it? How did Stephen Covey do it? Like, what do they know that I don't? And I want to say that has nothing so much to do with the strategy, because there's a lot of strategies out there. There's so many marketing strategies out there. You're not at a loss for marketing strategies, but what you might be at a loss for is the upgraded beliefs. And why are beliefs so important? So, in the first installment of this, we talked very briefly about why beliefs are actually so important, because I gave a little bit of an example about how, so when I was first applying to grad school, um, I had actually put on about 10 pounds of stress weight from just trying. And I was so stressed, and I was in grad school at the time. I was actually working part time as well. And I was trying to get into grad school, and I had put on 10 pounds of stress weight. And as I was trying to lose this weight, um, nothing really was working. Okay. And the reason is because, so what I had in the past, I had been part of my college's rowing team, so I was I was probably in the best shape of my life, maybe like 3 years before. I knew the nutrition, I knew the workouts, I knew how to lose weight, right? That was not what was keeping me from losing the weight. What was actually keeping me from losing the weight was the belief that I was operating from. Because all I wanted when I was before, the thing that was driving me to lose weight before was to be good looking, to be hot, to get a boyfriend, right? And that's actually how I met my husband, Jeff, who some of y'all know, some of y'all might have met before, might have heard our story about how we met in the Georgia Tech gym. Um, but yeah, like I was like, yeah, the only reason that I was wanting to get in shape, and the only fuel that motivated me to get in shape, and the belief that I was operating from, was to be hot and to use physicality as a way to attract members of the opposite sex, okay? And that no longer was working when it came time to when I had all these other stressors, when I was working a part-time job, when I was applying to grad school, when I had put on all this weight, and I was like, it's not working anymore. So what did I have to do? I actually had to upgrade my operating system. I had to upgrade my belief system as to why getting in shape and being in shape was actually going to be good for me. And so I started picturing myself, my body, like a racehorse, like a stallion. Okay, so like when in that movie Spirit, Stallion, the Cimarron, when Spirit and his friends are pulling that steam engine up the hill, and the steam is coming out of their nose because their muscles are rippling. Speaking of rippling muscles, like I have this French bulldog in my neighborhood, and she has rippling muscles. When she's walking, you can see the sinew in her muscles. And that is basically what I started picturing my body like, as something that could do work for me, that's something that could get me from A to B, something that could help me achieve things, because my body and my mind are so linked together. And when I started linking my body and my mind together and picturing my body like a racehorse, like a stallion, that's when things started to shift. That's when outcomes started happening. That's when um, I actually got into Carnegie Mellon's biomedical engineering PhD program. with this belief, with this upgraded operating belief. Um, as you can see, I don't do anything related to biomedical engineering anymore, but you can see how over time now, in fact, I actually have a even better outcome, I would say. I actually run a successful book marketing business, um, because I'm prioritizing my body and therefore it's prioritizing my mind. So you can see the power of beliefs and what they actually can do for you. And so we're going to talk about two main limiting beliefs that, high performing entrepreneurs have, especially regarding their book. Now, I'm not talking about anything else whether it's your sales pipeline, your operations. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about the book that you envisioned for yourself writing when you were probably like 10 years old and you're like, I'm going to be a successful author one day. And maybe you wrote the book and it wasn't as successful as you hoped it would be, or maybe you're still trying to finish your book that you've been that's been on your mind for a long time, and you're still stuck. You're still wondering what is the platform, the strategy, the way that Stephen Covey and James Clear, how did they get to be so successful when 2 million books are published every year and 94% of them actually go on to be basically flops. Only 6% of them really become in the public eye, right? And you want your book to be in the public eye. You want your book to be something you can look back on your deathbed and think, wow, that was something that I was always wanting to do, and I'm so glad I did it. So here, the first main belief is that you want to market your book like your brand. Okay. So and a lot of you guys here have brands, you guys have companies, right? You're building a ecosystem for your place in the world, in the universe, and online, right? You have colors, you have fonts, you have messaging, you have content, you have a consistency of messaging that when someone finds your world, they understand your world, they get bought into your world, you have a brand. And you guys have been so good at building your brand, right? And I know what it also takes to build a brand, right? I'm here with you. I'm doing it right now. I'm recording this and stuff. I was about to walk out and go to Home Goods for a little shopping session, but I was like, wait, I need to like create some content, right? So you guys know what it takes to build a brand and build content. And I am applauding you guys for that because it's really important and that is necessary to also to launch a book into your brand alongside your brand. But the problem is that books are not brands. Books are actually more like products. And maybe you have in the past not necessarily known or distinguished between the difference between marketing a brand versus marketing a product, but there is a difference. And the reason I say that is because one of my past clients, Amy Sudo, um, actually ended up marketing her book like her brand. And it did not do as well as she thought it would. So what she did is that she built her brand on TikTok. She had 45,000 consistent followers that were perfect match and they were engaged and they were a perfect match for her topic. They were freelance writers, they were wanting to become digital nomads, and they were basically all those people and they were engaged and commented and liked her and stuff. And when she finally finished her book and she made a post on TikTok saying, "Hey, my book is now live on Amazon," and it was exactly about what they were interested in, freelance writing. It was about wanting to become a digital nomad. She thought, well, it should take off, right? Because all of these 45,000 people who are interested in this topic probably would be interested in a book about this. But the problem was that it did not take off. The book did not do well. In fact, it sold less than a copy per day for about 2 years. And there's not yeah, ultimately, Amy and I ended up working together because she was so discouraged from that. Maybe not discouraged, but she was like, "That didn't work," and was willing to try something else. And instead started to see her book and marketing her book more like a product, okay? So, I have an example for you about what does it mean, the difference between marketing your book like a brand versus marketing like a product, okay? So we started saying how like marketing your book like a brand means like making consistent posts and making social media content and writing emails and all that stuff, right? And it doesn't necessarily work. But what could work is instead marketing a book like a product. And here's what I mean. So I'll tell you a story. So I think this was 2, 3, maybe 3 years ago at this point. Beyonce launched her hair care line. It was called Sacred. And in fact, if you go to Ulta, in fact, I went to Ulta like the other day and saw Sacred inside of Ulta, and I was like, oh, I should probably actually, for how many times I tell this story, I should probably buy some of her stuff, but it's kind of expensive. So I was like, okay, I'll pass for now. But so anyway, a couple years ago, Beyonce launched her hair care line Sacred, okay? And she launched it by so people have different definitions of the word launch, but in this context, what I mean is that Beyonce launched it at Ulta, meaning she told everyone at Ulta she had an advertisement in the catalog, the April, I believe it was a 2024 catalog, um, where she said, "Hey, Sacred is now available for purchase at every Ulta store." And every Ulta store had enough stock of Sacred to fulfill the demand, okay? So, it was like a big, like, billboard, like, "Hey, Sacred is now live. Sacred is ready to buy. Go buy it," right? And included in that ad was the was in the ad, it said that the ad or that Sacred, the product line, already had 18,000 five-star reviews already on day 1. And, you may wonder, like, how is that even possible? Like, on day 1, it already had this many, like, thousands of five-star reviews. And the reality is that what Beyoncé did, she was really clever. And this is basically how all products are launched, is that there's basically a pre-game period. And you guys, if you don't know, if you think of the word pre-game, like if you're going out on a night on the town, you pre-game your drinking by, like, chugging vodka or whatever beforehand so that you aren't left with a really expensive bill at the end of the night. So you kind of prime the pump, so to speak, on your experience. You prime the pump so that, later there's water in the pump, all right? So another version of pre-gaming is, like, when was like another maybe way to think about it is like tailgating or something like that, right? Like when you go to like a Georgia Tech football game or a UGA football game, some people will come before the game and they'll talk about the game and they'll eat and drink and entertain and enjoy the experience before the game, and then the game starts, and then they have a whole other experience all over again. So there's this pre-game element to product launches, and that's how many of the products that you see now that you see, that's how they launch. They actually had a space, a time frame when they're testing and doing beta testing with beta users. So if you've ever seen Google have the word beta have, like, a new product launching. Like, when Google Maps was first launching, they had this little tag, it was called beta, and that meant that it wasn't a fully launched product yet. It just meant that they were looking for, original users, and they were looking to get feedback from these users. And when they could get those users, then when the product finally fully launched, they could create they had reviews, they could create positive feedback, positive reinforcement. People could now tell other people about how great Google Maps was. And that social proof, that user generated content, that those five-star reviews before it goes out to the public are absolutely priceless. And anyone who's launching a product knows that, because when it's at the end of the day, when it's time for all the thousands and thousands of Ulta shoppers who find Sacred and they see, oh, Sacred could be a really interesting product, but I saw that no one has tried it yet. But that could be one scenario. Or they see, oh, yeah, I want to try Beyonce's hair care line. I want to try Sacred. but I also see it already has 18,000 five-star reviews and it's awesome. Therefore, I'm probably going to buy it now. And that social proof is so much more weighted and much more likely to convert into a sale than no social proof. And that social proof is all created beforehand in that pregame period. And it's no different from books. So, um, in some products, people call it like a beta launch, and or in a beta testing period. With books, this period is called an advanced reader period, where you find advanced readers for your book before your book is live on Amazon. You send them like a PDF of your book, or in the traditional publishing world, they'll send actually physical copies to people who sign up, and they will give you a copy for free. And the idea is that you can read the book and formulate an opinion of the book, and very likely it'll be very highly rated because that we've already already tested the book. It's already been edited. It's already been proofread. We're now looking for those final tweaks. And when they read the book and then they say, "Hey, this would be really good. Just tweak this and this and this," we're saying, "Okay, great. We'll tweak it." And then as soon as the book goes live on Amazon, we would love your review. That's when they leave their review, and that's when you see books really accumulate a lot of reviews in a very short amount of time, and that's how it appears that some books are very, very popular. Okay, this was, only a few years ago, like, Cal Newport's book, Slow Productivity, came out, and I remember seeing it at the airport when it just came out. And I went to the Amazon page, it already had, like, 400 reviews within a month, right? But the way they did that was because they actually had a pool of advanced readers, people like, probably, like, 2,000, 5,000 people from Cal Newport's audience who were really excited to read Cal Newport's new book and then leave a review as soon as the book came out. Okay. Now you might be thinking, well, I don't have that many people in my audience, and that's totally okay. You don't need to have a big audience. In fact, I had 0 followers when I launched my Rainwater book that went on to sell over 15,000 copies. You can find advanced readers in Facebook groups and subreddits on Substack. That's how my client Valerie did it. She DM'd folks. And that's how my client Maya is doing it. She's DMing people. She's forming relationships with people who go on to become your fans of your work because maybe they didn't know you beforehand, but now they are getting to know you because they are a reader of your book, and now they're a fan of yours and may become a future client of yours. Um, so here's that one limiting belief that I'm supposed to market my book like my brand. I'll just post my book to Instagram. I'll just post my book to TikTok and hope and pray that people will buy it. And I want to tell you that that doesn't really work nearly as much as you want to. But what you could do instead is market your book like a product, like how Beyonce does it, like how James Clear did it, like how Stephen Covey did it, how Cal Newport did it, and how all of my clients do it with a advanced reader team. That is like your beta launch team, your pre-game team, okay? So that's one of the limiting beliefs that we're obliterating. So here's a new one we're doing today. And this limiting belief is all about, let me just pull this up really quick. Is all about thinking that your publisher is going to market your book for you. Okay, so I talk to a lot of authors who work with hybrid publishers, or even traditional publishers, even. And the reason that they do that is because they just don't know enough about the process and they would really appreciate some help from a company that can kind of work with them to package their book with them, and to upload their book for them, right? And they also expect their publisher to kind of do the marketing for them. And even if you have an idea of that the publisher won't market for you, maybe you're trying to find out ways that a publisher or something, a graphic designer, something, right? Like, how do you get your book out there, right? And just one of the biggest limiting beliefs is that publishers or hybrid publishers have marketing potential, okay? And the fact of the matter is that publishers are they have a lot of things going on. They have 1,001 things going on, and their main things are that they are getting your book edited and they're getting all of their clients' books edited. So you're just one author in in many authors in their lineup. And all of those authors are getting their books edited by the publishing house. They're also all getting their book covers created. They're all getting their layouts designed. They're all getting their books proofread. They're all trying to get their book out the door. And publishing houses are kind of like car manufacturers. Like a book is like a car. And you can imagine like a car on like an assembly line, right? And you know, you have to put the tires on and you got to put the lights on, you got to put the frame on, right? So all of these items are like your book. They got to get the book edited and then proofread and to get the cover created and the title created, right? So that the book is done. But just because the book is created doesn't mean that the book is people know about the book. Okay, so just because creating the book is one thing and telling everyone about the book is a totally different thing, okay? So, very likely when you see a car manufacturer, when you see like Honda ads and Lexus ads and Acura ads, like all these ads on TV, the car manufacturer is hiring a ad agency to create the ad for their cars because they're really good at creating cars, but who's the person that talks about the car? Who makes these really cool videos and puts it all together in a really cool sequence and makes you want to make it desirable. It's totally two different functions, okay? And the same thing is with books. So the fact of the matter is that there are about three main styles of publishing. One is traditional publishing, where a publisher extends to you like a business deal and says, "I would like to partner with you and buy your manuscript and to buy the rights to sell your book, in order for help to help you create the book and get the manuscript created and get the cover created and create on the assembly line the final product, which is your book with a cover with a title." Um, and then there's a second main style of publishing, which is self-publishing, where basically you, as the project manager, as the CEO of this project, you're just the one in charge of the assembly line. So you are the one who maybe hires an editor, who hires a proofreader, hires a marketing team as well. At the end of the day, for and then there's the third one, which is hybrid, which is you you do you they do the full project management for you, so they assemble the book for you, but you own the rights at the end. So for all three of those, the common denominator for all three of them is that you basically handle 90 to 99%, if not 100% of the marketing for your book. Okay. In fact, one of my coaches, Jessica Zweig, I actually learned about her by reading her book, her first ever book it was titled B, is a personal branding book. And she had a traditional publish deal through that book. She sold 70,000 copies of that book. And she actually had to handle 95% of the marketing for that book. That book went on to go and double her business within 12 months. But she went into that deal knowing that her publishing house was not going to market her book for her, and she would have to do it all herself. And she got to see the fruits of that marketing. Um, and marketing books is all basically like our bread and butter here at Smoking Hot Books, is to help authors bridge the gap between wondering like, so I thought the publisher marketed my book, but only to find out that they don't. And then to help you understand what is all required for you to have a successful book, to help you sell your first 10,000 copies, so that you can ultimately grow your business and attract more clients and do it more easily and go on more vacations and do more awesome things and have more impact in the world. through your book, okay? But for the premise I'm here to tell you is that the myth that we're busting is that your publisher won't market your book for you, but there is a better way to do it, and it's that you can handle the marketing and slash or you can hire a team of marketers who all day, every day, bread and butter, market books, help you sell books, help you turn your readers into customers by also building your funnel. Okay. So, the way that we do that is through the Amazon algorithm. And the way I talk about the Amazon algorithm is kind of similarly to how YouTube has an algorithm. And there's all these awesome businesses that um, kind of live off of the YouTube algorithm. So, one example is like Mr. Beast. Like his entire business was built off of the YouTube algorithm. One of my sales coaches, Macy McNeely, she gets 50% of her leads through the Amazon algorithm. Her coach, Myron Golden, he gets, I think, 80% of his leads from the YouTube algorithm. And the way that we sell books is through mastery of the Amazon algorithm. So you might even say I'm the Mr. Beast of the Amazon algorithm. I mean, um, but it's the truth. And the thing that I keep hearing the most about, from authors who went with a hybrid publisher or they went with a traditional publisher or they had an agency write their book or they're kind of working with a traditional publisher and they're kind of hoping, or maybe they went with an agency to help them write their book, but then the agency uploads their book to Amazon and now they're left wondering what to do next. So a lot of you guys might have gone that direction because you heard these four things, one of these four things, right? So maybe the agency that you went with, maybe they help you write your book for you. And they helped you do it and you went with them because they finished writing your book for you. They put a cover on it. They help you title your book. And then they upload your book to Amazon. They help you upload your book to Ingram Spark. Um, and then you're left wondering what to do after that because they said that once it's uploaded to Ingram Spark, it's available for global distribution. But then you're like, well, then once it's available now you're wondering, now what? No one's buying it. I thought it was going to be globally distributed, but no one's buying. So you're wondering like, where's the disconnect, right? Maybe you went with a hybrid publisher, and they helped you launch your book on Amazon, but they poorly executed the launch. And so what does that mean for you? You might have missed your chance for a number one Amazon bestseller. Maybe you missed your chance to do really well with the Amazon algorithm. Maybe you missed a lot of things and you're kind of frustrated with their lack of execution excellence. I've heard that as well. Um, Number three, I hear this a lot with people who go with hybrid publishers. Hybrid publishers will tell you, we're working on your book. We're trying to get the book on the assembly line out the door. And here's the date that it's going to be online on Amazon. They'll tell you a date that it's going to be available. And so as you're kind of like waiting, you're getting in emails from your hybrid publisher. They're telling you the date and you're like, okay, so it's 6 months out. What do I do now? Maybe it's 2 months out. Maybe it's 1 month out. And you're like, I don't know what to do. You have no launch strategy. They didn't give you one. They have no intention of giving you one, right? Their only job was to get your book out the door, like a car on assembly line, right? And so you're frustrated with that. Or number four, maybe you maybe you did a really good job at self-publishing. Maybe you did self-publish and you did all the things and you followed all the marketing advice and all the blogs online and people will tell you, wow, great job, your book is actually amazing. And you're like, yeah, I know, I tested it and I had advanced readers and I took all their feedback and I made it really, really, really good and I know my book's amazing. But then if my book's amazing, why is no one buying it? All right. So I even have a friend who I was reading his book. I actually have his book right over there. It's an amazing book, and it actually helped me. Um, it's a great book on setting prices, and but he was wondering, why is my book not selling? It's an amazing book, but he was just wondering, my book could be taking off. It could be changing the world, but it doesn't seem to be. And so here's really the myth busting principles that I can provide to you. Okay, so the idea is that if you went with a book writing agency and they promised you the world and they said, we'll upload it to Ingram Spark so that you can get global distribution. Well, absolutely. The book is available for global distribution, but there's no global demand for your book. And the problem is that um, just because the pipe has been laid, it doesn't mean that people on the other end are pulling on the pipe or are know that your book exists. And just because they know your book exists doesn't mean that they necessarily even want it either. Okay. So ideally, we need to create demand and buzz for your book. And ideally before your book is live. Um, why? Because so that when your book goes live, just like Beyonce's Sacred Hair Care line, you can start off immediately knowing with having that joyous experience of having that awesome launch party and then seeing your Amazon dashboard of books. Just book sales, just like boom, 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 book sales, book sales, book sales, right? How good would that feel? And then you see your calendar getting, call booked, call booked, call booked, call booked. Wouldn't that be awesome? Right? So here's the thing. We want to create demand and buzz for your book during your book launch runway, during your pre-game period. And we know how to do that using what's called the 10,000 copies book launch system. And that is the smoking hot books method of helping you sell more books and turning your readers into clients. Okay. Now, if you're experiencing the second problem, which is maybe your hybrid publisher helped you launch your book on Amazon, but they kind of poorly executed the launch. And so you didn't get #1 Amazon bestseller. You didn't, your book's sinking to the bottom of the Amazon graveyard. If that's you, well, you have an opportunity possibly to relaunch or if you want to launch a second edition, you can totally use the 10,000 copies book launch system and easily hit #1 Amazon bestseller. We have Amazon charting down to a science, and every single one of our execution clients is guaranteed #1 Amazon bestseller, or we will work with you for free until you hit it. So guaranteed. Okay. Number 3. So maybe your hybrid publisher, they're working on your book and they gave you a date for when your book will be live on Amazon, but they don't give you a launch strategy and you're like left holding the bag and you're like, what do I do? What do I need to do? What do I not need to do? What's all the fluff? What do I need to do? Okay. So here is the antidote. The antidote is to apply the 10,000 copies book launch system as your strategy to your book launch in the 4 to 6 to 12 months before your book is live. The more time, the better, always. But ideally, you are self-publishing because that gives you the most control over your book launch date, over what you need to do, over what you do not need to do, over the whole project. And you can feel really proud that you knew what to do and what was noise in the background. So the 10,000 copies book launch system is a great strategy for books that are coming out within the next 2 to 4 to 6, possibly even 12 months, that can help you sell thousands of books and feed your pipeline. And then finally, people will tell you that your book is amazing, but you just don't know why it's not selling, right? So, if that is you, if you're getting feedback from readers and they're like, "This is a really good book. Why isn't it selling?" And you're like, "I don't know. Why isn't it selling?" Right? If that's you, I get it. I've been there. I've launched books that I've thought were like they were from my heart and I thought they were amazing, but you just didn't know why they weren't selling. And the answer is that there could be many reasons why. There's many things that go into book marketing, into why someone buys your book. It could be the number of reviews your book has. It could be the title. It could be the cover. And for all intents and purposes, it's probably one of those 3 things. If you have only 20 reviews on your book, that's too few. Okay. Because the answer is that when was the last time you really bought something on Amazon with 20 reviews? It very was likely the last thing you bought on Amazon had thousands of reviews, actually. And lucky for you, you actually don't need to have thousands of reviews. For books to sell on Amazon, you at least, just aim for 100. 100 reviews will help your book sell really well. It'll help it stand out from other books like yours, and help you have that authority mark on your book. Okay. And you're looking for authority, right? You want to be known as the go to person. Then 100 reviews on your book is that stamp of approval that you're seeking. And then finally, your title and your cover might be confusing. Um, and that's more often true than not. Maybe you came up with your title in the shower. Maybe you really loved it. Maybe it has something to do with your journey to writing this book. I have a client who titled her book because she thought it was really catchy and it was very dear to her heart. But when she started asking around, it turned out that title, her readers didn't understand that title because that title was from her personal experience, but her readers didn't understand that title, and so they didn't buy her book because of it. Um, and same thing goes with your cover. Your cover wants to be catchy. It needs to look like something very attractive, and ultimately also outcome oriented. They want to see themselves in the cover. Um, and ultimately they see the outcome that they so desperately want in the cover as well. Okay. So give it to them. They're seeking a feeling, peace, strength, joy. Give it to them. Give it to them in that feeling. It's a package. Your book is a package. And ultimately confused buyers just don't buy. Okay. So ultimately, we went over many of the reasons why people who go with traditional or hybrid publishers end up feeling burned by going with publishers. But the problem is not necessarily because the publishers are doing anything wrong. It's just because they're doing their job, and their job never really was to market your book. But what we can do is help educate you, get you strong enough, take you to the gym, um, where you can find out that your book is worthy of marketable. Right? So kind of like the analogy maybe we can use is like, imagine, you're in your 50s and you just got divorced and you're trying to get back out on the dating scene again. And you want to set up your dating profile on eHarmony. Well, maybe you're just a little out of practice. So when you first put up your dating profile, maybe your hair is like a little disheveled, and maybe you're not used to saying the right words. Maybe you don't know what clothes to wear or how to seem marketable or presentable to the dating scene. But that's no problem, because just like how there are dating coaches and yeah, matchmakers who specialize in helping people find dates and get married, we help authors find their way so that their book can become marketable, and help authors turn their book into a pipeline packing machine. Um so, that's it for today, and, that is the end of, 3 out of 5, and stay tuned for next week where we'll go into the next, limiting belief regarding, book marketing, and until then, have fun and enjoy this, and we'll see you next time.